Well, it's Thanksgiving again, a time where we can all kind of reflect on things we generally take for granted but are very grateful for. One of the things I'm grateful for are the few times mainstream media lets the cat out of the bag, confirms what I've been saying about him all along to be true, and accidentally allows a powerful truth to slip out of the lips of a teleprompter reading marionette. Like the time Mika Brzezinski on The Morning Joe said this.
I think that the dangerous, edges here are that he's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts, and it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah, if he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah, you heard that right. Mika was bemoaning the fact that in Trump's attempt to undermine the media, he could control what people think. But the daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski strongly objects to this, reserving the right to control what people think to herself and her fellow MSLSD crackpot stage actors. Here, listen to it again.
He's trying to undermine the media, trying to make up his own facts, and it could be that while unemployment and the economy worsens, he could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
And at the end of that very revealing statement, Joe Scarborough agrees by saying, yeah.
He can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job.
Yeah. But not only am I thankful for accidental mainstream media mess-ups, where they drop the veil and let the truth slip out, I'm also thankful for the times they blatantly lie, like the entire cast and crew of MSLSD's Morning Joe does every single year. This is from last Thanksgiving. Here, they're outright lying to their viewers in a segment they taped a day before Thanksgiving for a show that would air as though it were live a day after Thanksgiving. Watch every single one of them participate in this ridiculous lie. And remember as you watch this that they're going to tell viewers that it's Friday when it's really Wednesday, and they're going to tell you how much they ate, what they did, and who they were with on a Thanksgiving that hadn't even happened yet. But they're going to tell you it had happened.
Whoa! Wow. That was a great Thanksgiving.
It's Friday, November 24th.
Game?
Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Happy Turkey Day.
Willie, how was your Thanksgiving?
I've still got the belt unbuckled.
I'm telling you.
The game.
I'm not comfortable.
There was a fist fight at my dinner table. It was incredible.
My God.
Yeah.
Good to have you all on board on this day after Thanksgiving. Whew, I'm stuffed. I always cook the turkey with the guts in it.
Joe didn't notice.
I know. Now you ate the bag and it's like in one bite.
Was it BPA free?
It was. I don't know what, and it was still a little frozen, but that's okay.
Well, you know what? No, the game last night will up for it.
At last.
So they feel it's their job to control what people think, and they think it's okay to just make crap up and pawn it off as truth and reality. And here's one last clip you can pass on to your family and friends who still look to mainstream corporate media for real news. Listen very carefully to what Joe Scarborough says to lifetime race baiter and reckless, ridiculous Reverend Al Sharptongue.
How much longer Donald Trump's going to go before explicitly calling out this type of hatred and explicitly denouncing David Duke, explicitly denouncing white supremacists, and not doing it with a nod and a wink like he's done in the past?
It's very important that everyone realize that Joe Scarborough is specifically condemning Trump for not explicitly calling out and denouncing hatred and racism. And it's also highly relevant and important that the person he's talking to is Al Sharpton. Let's listen to Forked Tongue's hypocrisy first, and then I'll get to my nail in the coffin point.
No, I think that it is a very, very serious question you raise because, Dr. Martin Luther King used to say the arc of the universe is long, but it bends toward freedom and justice. And the question is how long this will go. I think last week's election showed that it is not It does not have the legs that we was thinking it may have politically, and Trump is going to have to make a real decision. But I think where AC's last point to you and Mika was very profound, when we kind of looked the other way when it was racism, and then it was homophobia, and then it was Islamophobia. Now it's gone into raw anti-Semitism. I think Americans are beginning to understand bigotry toward anyone is bigotry toward everyone.
Yep, being a bigot is being a bigot, Al. Now, you just said...
When we kind of looked the other way when it was racism, and then it was homophobia, and then it was Islamophobia, now it's gone into raw anti-Semitism.
Let's just take a moment and talk about raw anti-Semitism, Al. I don't know if everybody knows this, but Joe Scarborough here has a political history. He used to be a congressman for Florida's 1st Congressional District. Back in March of 2000, this same Joe Scarborough was so disgusted by Al Sharpton's actions and rhetoric that he actually introduced legislation for the sole purpose of Sharpton receiving condemnation and rebuke from Congress. The bill was called H.R. 270, and it was titled Condemning the Racist and Anti-Semitic Views of the Reverend Al Sharpton. And it listed out all the objectionable and downright anti-Semitic and racist things Sharpton had said and been involved in. Let's read some of those, shall we, Joe? Whereas the Congress strongly rejects the racist and incendiary actions of the Reverend Al Sharpton. Whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton has referred to members of the Jewish faith as blood-sucking Jews and Jew bastards. The Reverend Al Sharpton has referred to members of the Jewish faith as white interlopers and diamond merchants. The Reverend Al Sharpton was found guilty of defamation by a jury in a New York court arising from the false accusation that former Assistant District Attorney Stephen Pagones, who is white, raped and assaulted a 15-year-old black girl. Whereas, to this day, the Reverend Al Sharpton has refused to accept responsibility and expresses no regret for defaming Mr. Pagones. Whereas the Reverend Al Sharpton's vicious verbal anti-Semitic attacks directed at members of the Jewish faith, and in particular a Jewish landlord, arising from a simple landlord-tenant dispute with a black tenant, incited widespread violence, riots, and the murder of 5 innocent people. I'll drop a link in the description so you can read the rest. But here we are today. Joe's asking opinions of the same guy he blasted in a House resolution bill that he introduced to Congress. Sharpton's tried to sell people on the idea that he's changed over the last 30 years. Well, the only thing that he's really changed is that he's dropped a lot of weight, and he went from wearing a jumpsuit to wearing $1,500 tailored suits. Character-wise, the guy hasn't changed a thing. He's just polished up his act. And we all know that you can't polish a turd and expect it not to stink. Throughout the late 80s and early 90s, whenever an issue came up in New York City that centered around race, Sharpton was there. The problem is, he wasn't there as a healer. He was there as an agitator and troublemaker. Oh, and an anti-Semite. And he's never once apologized for the rhetoric he used about Jews. Back in 2000, Scarborough took so much exception to all these issues with Sharpton that he actually took the time to introduce a bill condemning the man. And here we are in 2018. He and the Morning Joe crew welcome an unchanged, unhinged, unapologetic Sharpton with open arms to discuss the ever-sensitive and polarizing topic of race with one of modern America's greatest race baiters, agitators, and all-around statist prostitutes. So if it's possible to be truly thankful for crap, this is the kind of crap I'm truly thankful for. You guys have a peaceful and blessed Thanksgiving. Remember, the price of whatever freedoms we have left is eternal vigilance. And indifference to this notion is the means by which the people will and have secured their own oppression. I'll see you guys in the next video. Guys, thanks for watching. I create at least one new video every day. If you get something out of this content and you want to be alerted when I upload new material, subscribe to High Impact Vlogs, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, and share it with everybody you know. Because the specter of censorship and termination looms over channels like mine, be sure to subscribe to my free private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com. And if you think it's worth helping the cause of truth here on this channel, you can support my work on Patreon or PayPal, or you can grab a hard-hitting shirt from the most politically incorrect shirt store on the planet. There are over 100 kick-ass designs, and I'm adding new ones every week. All these links are in the description and in the pinned comment. Remember, don't just believe anything and keep questioning everything. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored video.